before you, we are a musical group. See, you can call us the 300 Men Uganda. We should be 3, but the third one couldn't make it here, so we came 2. I'm with my colleague here. It's called Chankone Hannes, and I've been studying with him since senior 1 senior 6. So right now we're campus. So I and him, we sat down. We wrote for you some nice, beautiful gospel songs. I hope you enjoy it. So please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, 300 men. Somebody said, will they fit here? I think now we have known, they have fit. So I'm reliably informed that he is a grandson. He is a grandson. And to be more specific, from the 3rd daughter. So basically, the Baganda Sepuzala Kolachi, Ujagana, and we are really, really grateful for such an opportunity. 300 men, thank you so much. We can give them another hand of applause. At this time, I would like to invite Frank, who will ably invite our keynote speaker. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you, Solomon.
Now, in Uganda, we have people who stand for so many causes. You have people who say, for me, I'm a feminist. We have people who say, me, whenever they get to the podium, they're sure they will either attack a certain color or the other color. Now, Patrick Kaboyo is one who has taken a very special podium on the education arena to always be at the forefront, fight for the teacher, for the education needs, for the policy network, talk about what it should be the right way in the education arena. Patrick has done it all. So, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick is here to offer us a keynote speech, and so let us allow him to take his usual spot and speak us, but this time in the perspective of the book that we are launching today, Education Policy Perspective. Let's welcome him.
Thank you so much, Frank. Mr. Gumusiriza and your very beautiful wife, you qualify to be my father because I clocked 46 and I will be 47 soon. You should be about 80 if I have made the right judgment. I'm very delighted to be in your midst before I give the keynote address, and of course your family. This is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished academicians, I'm seeing people that I have seen 20 or so years. In our midst we have Professor John Asibo. I should recognize you for the work you have done in some spaces. We have been in same meetings with him at the Ministry of Education, with your beautiful wife. Yes. Yes, we give her a hand clap. I also want to recognize Mr. Muonge Kewaza. Yes. Those are names that are in the sector. But also to cut the curtain, most times when we are speaking education, we forget that we also have other educators from other institutions, be it the legal, the health, and other professions. We also have Dr. Sasiro from Makerere here, and others. If I have not mentioned you, I request that you forgive me, but you should right time. So, I was delighted to be given the opportunity to speak before you, and I was not given your book, Mr. Gumusiriza. So when I was given the title of the book, I felt that the experience I have for 20 years now can suffice to offer us a very candid keynote speech for this occasion. Yes. But some people may ask, who is Patrick Kaboyo? We are seeing him for the first time. Patrick Kaboyo is a teacher and social worker by training. I am a product and leader in the private sector, all private schools in the country. I'm the General Secretary or National Secretary. I also head an education advocacy network, and also by the grace of God in December last year, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports. So me fit to serve on the board of the Uganda National Examinations Board, so I'm a board member there. Yes, I began that service this year. I saw an oath, so I'm fully on the board. That said, much as I'm a board member, I will speak with a very independent mind, because the issues we are speaking about now, issues are those young people. If you are 60 years and you are seated here, you have about 10 years of active business, but the business for which we should push is for the young people. So I think the discussion we are going to have and my remarks will focus on the future, not on the present. So if the keynote speech scratches you in your present time, my focus is on for the son and our grandchildren. So I prepared this keynote speech for this book launch. And I started by looking at the author, the man himself, Mr. Gumusiriza. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to take you to the book of Galatians 5, Galatians 5:22 to 23, which teaches us that love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control are fruits of the Holy Spirit. And in having this as the opening statement, I feel strongly that for a man like Eliab, at his age, to do what he has done, if he does not possess all the 9 fruits, you could be having a half of them. So that's the reason we have that verse. Surely to write a book like the one we are launching today means that to a large extent one possesses such attributes as I have talked about. I want to believe that for the time Eliab spent thinking, comparing literature, analyzing it, synthesizing, actualizing it, coordinating with the publishers, networking, and successfully bringing very many doctors I'm seeing in this audience, Dr. Shiria, others, and also a cross-section of people from different sectors, is a virtue that he wanted to have his knowledge shared. Also his values and skills through this product. We are launching today this book and would like this book to be very monumental in our life as academicians. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to remind you that when the Apostle Paul was writing to the Galatians of the chapter I read, that time he was writing to the Galatians of that time, but I'm told that you are from Kanuri. I have been in Rujeyo, Chihihi, Kambuga, all that area I know. And when you look at that geography, it could be resonating with the land where Galatians live. Once again, congratulations upon this milestone. congratulations the publisher for a job well done. And at this point in time, we give him a hand clap. I'm optimistic, Mr. Gumusiriza and all dignitaries here, that the book will sell, because this book has been launched at a time when the country is undergoing massive reform. But to be specific, the education and sports sector is having serious reform. You know, the Education Policy Review Commission was appointed. You know, the O-level and A-level curriculum is being reviewed, the assessment. You know that there is the national teacher policy. You know that universities are also having reforms internally. So the book fits for purpose. Eliab's book title speaks to policy perspectives and governance, whereas as leaders, we tend to focus on governance. It is important for any person to first focus on inner governance. There is a concept of inner governance that drives the good governance that people see. So the inner governance is not seen, but can be seen through the actions that leaders espouse before their subordinates. To bring governance and policy into context is to note that governance in Uganda's education system has roots in the 1995 Constitution as amended, and to be specific is to look at the 18th National Objective and Directive of State Policy, as well as Article 30 of the Constitution that puts this book into context. The 18th National Objective and Directive of State Policy offers us a green light on education objectives, and I want to quote. It says, "The state shall promote free and compulsory education." 2, the state shall appropriate measures to afford every citizen equal opportunity to attain the highest educational standard possible. 3, individuals, religious bodies, and other non-governmental organizations shall be free to found and operate educational institutions if they comply with the general educational policy of the country and maintain national standards. End quote. Of course, you know that for this education we are talking about has the national objectives, has the values, and I don't want to go into that. The national objectives and directives of state policy in the 1995 Constitution of this Republic forms a firm foundation for the institutional, legal, and policy framework upon which the delivery of quality, I want to repeat, quality education and sports services are anchored and must be derived. So in terms of policy and governance that this book focuses on, I can say we are at crossroads. We are at crossroads because we are doing fairly well with education legislation. Both at the central and local government, you will find ordinances and bylaws within some local governments, and also acts enacted by Parliament in our offices and shelves. But, excuse me, we don't have a lot of success to count on in far as putting up a robust policy environment. By this, I mean that we have done so well in having very many laws and having few policies in place. Scholars who are around here, we can engage when we are having a cup of tea. While we are doing well on having a number of laws in place, we are not doing well on policy formulation. A number of laws in the sector need amendment. With the long overdue amendments, I seem to think that largely the spirit of those charged with the responsibility of initiating amendments seem to be high and ready, but the body seems to be weak and somewhat dragging with amendments to align existing legislation with current realities. This is definitely a matter of governance, because when Parliament recommends that within the legislative framework or legislative agenda, we need these laws amended and the amendments take long, it is true to confirm that the body can be weak. To contextualize Eliab's book we are launching today, we need to interest ourselves in two sector laws that I want to refer for this keynote speech. The first is the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act of 2001 as amended, and also the Education Pre-Primary, Primary and Post-Primary Act of 2008, where we should pick existing policy and governance opportunities and gaps, and we start reflecting on them, whether those two laws are indeed candidates for amendment or we are satisfied by the status quo. Suffice to say, the two laws are responsible for what you are seeing now as business as usual or business unusual. It depends on the perspective and the glasses you are wearing. If the glasses are like those of Mr. Eliab, the book is here. This is transcending in leadership, administration, and management of our public and private nursery schools, primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, including universities. I hope you know that there are some of us, let's say it is funny to find a grandson of Professor Opuda, who is 4 years in baby class, taking home homework. And this happens even in Eliab's home. Your people grandchild takes homework home to be done by the parent. Those are policy perspectives. I reiterate that as we perceive good governance, we should also perceive the opposite in our education institutions as they manifest due to the age of those policy documents, interpretation, operationalization, and to some extent commercialization. In terms of governance, I would like to focus on foundation bodies and to bring the concept of governance and policy into perspective is the need to reflect on the interplay between foundation bodies and other stakeholders in the education institutions. To be precise, foundation bodies are the owners. If it was a company, the shareholders. How the shareholders play with the other stakeholders is a matter of governance. Reason being that if you take this Rwenzori water daily in your home, even when your wife is boiling water, Rwenzori will not know that you take a lot of water. So you can't claim to have the shares from Rwenzori. But in a school, once you are a parent, you pay fees, your child is there, you have the right to demand for a role to play. So as we embrace this book on our market, we need to know that we are in a global village, we are in a global season with lots of social media challenges that have overshadowed our rich reading culture. And most of us are not doing better. If you were to ask your neighbor, when did you last buy a book? You might fear to get the answer. Or when did you last, which chapter of the book are you reading? Which book is that? Or of your friends, how many have given you a book? The book I have read quite often is the Bible. At least every day I read the Bible and office workbooks. But in terms of purchasing books and reading culture, TikTok, Facebook, all those, you know them, WhatsApp, are becoming a challenge that we must address. You all know that we are basically guided by the global decisions for which we are signatories through conventions and treaties signed by the states. With the departure from the MDGs, you remember we used to have the Millennium Development Goals, we used to have the Education for All, you remember the Johnson Convention, the Dakar Framework, all those frameworks in education catapulted us into Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 of them. And as educators, our focus is on Goal 4, which is quality education. But when you unpack quality education, it is capped Education 2030 agenda. And when we calculate the years from 2023 now to 2030, those are 7 years. And in terms of our country setting, that is one election cycle plus the 2 years we are having. Are we really going to be on course with the world as we grapple with governance and policy paradigm? Again, beyond the global agenda, there is a continental agenda for Africa. We know that the African Union has proposed the Continental Education Framework for Africa 2063. This was rolled out beginning 2026 to 2025. You need to interest yourself as a participant here to read that framework and see where Africa wants to be, knowing very well that Uganda is part of Africa, and also we have the East African Community Vision 2050, the Uganda Vision 2040, from which the national development plans are derived. We picked out the first national development plan, implemented it, picked out the second, we are now on the third, which is about to conclude, and we shall pick out the fourth, but by the time we make 2040, the answers could be in this book. Who knows? This is the reason we have shared what we are listening to in this launch. I also wanted to give a perspective on the government policy digging deeper in the history. And I was guided by a principle that brought His Excellency William Ruto into power. If you followed Dr. Ruto, his message was bottom up, bottom up, bottom up. And once he said bottom up, Mama Mboga, looking at the down people, the rest is history. So good policies should be bottom up and not up bottom. As we conclude, I will delve into some policies that are up bottom, and when we read the book, we shall get to find out the relationship. But I will also conclude by giving you homework, because you are not 4 or 5 years old, you are mature, you will take homework home. So, education policy and policy pronouncements in Uganda have evolved over time from the colonial and pre-independence, which is before 1900, the post-independence period, 1962-1989, and the privatization and economic liberalization between 1989 to the current year we are in. In declaring its intention, therefore, objectives and goals for why it exists, a government designs policies. So good policies are derived from needs that are scientifically assessed to inform remedy or solution to the very identified issues or needs. So government policies should not be sought about or put in place to create more problems to the people. They should instead be there to solve the problems as were seen in the assessments done by researchers. This is the reason behind the need to understand our government positions. To understand this deeper, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, is to look at the 4 P's in every setting. And the 3 P's for my presentation are not about economic jargon, are not about medical language, but they relate to the first P being people. These people play the second P, which is politics. Even in our families, we have family politics. The third, from the politics played, we get policies, and finally, those policies are cascaded into plans. But oftentimes we find that there are plans we think are extracts from the policies, when indeed some individuals moving those plans have personal plans departing from the overall national policy. So Eliab's friends who are seated here, we need to know that good words or statements, ideas, aspirations, and pronouncements made by political leaders do not necessarily constitute policy. I will delve more into this by saying that a policy is scientifically processed by the technical teams in these entities that run the state. And such entities should be able to translate the aspirations and those statements into real policy. So statements in themselves do not necessarily mean that they are policy unless they have undergone thorough and rigorous processes of policy formulation, policy communication, education, consultation, and participatory mechanisms, including funding. That's why sometimes you'll find people ask, when did this policy come about? Were we consulted? We don't know about this policy. So a policy, therefore, becomes one only when a regulatory impact assessment has been carried out. And through the regulatory impact assessment, Cabinet is helped pick out issues that have been highlighted by those with the mandate to process the good visions into policy, and after Cabinet has done its work, it should be able to give it the attributes of what a policy should be. We know for sure that in our culture, if you are to be Salongo, there has to be Nalongo, and there have to be twins, present or not present. But the fact remains you are Salongo. So for a policy to be called policy, it has to wear those jackets. It's only upon completion of such processes that the policy is funded, implemented, monitored and evaluated within specific timelines, moving towards review. So if a policy stays for ages without review, then that policy might not be worth the salt. Ladies and gentlemen, you recall that at one time, we had a leader who proposed to this country that for
become a teacher, you should be among the best of your cohort. He was proposing that only the great students should join education. But those who join them, they don't know whether they are here. They deserve to tell us whether the pay then was commensurate to the policy pronouncement. But as we speak, professors in our midst and doctors know the quality of students they receive who join the universities to do education. Those are policy issues. Suffice to say, as we gather here for this launch, in line with the title of this book, we need to reflect on some policies known and unknown, written and unwritten. I wanted to come here with my first-born daughter who is in school, but no issues to do with Term X. She's at school because she's a candidate for senior six. Otherwise, this gathering will open up her community focus, understand what issues we are discussing. So I couldn't come here and now. But if you know that your student brings you documents or circulars from the school where we go, there are things which you should take better to read. And what you should read more is about charges. Have you heard about settlement? I will be candid talk about settlement because settlement is 18 years old in this country, and every parent prays for that to enable our daughters and sons to improve in mathematics and science. But the bad story is that 18 years down the road, grades they post in physics, math, chemistry, biology are very bad. I don't know whether I'm speaking selfishly, and if you are here and you are one of the SESMA implementers, read this book, pick issues from this keynote address and see the need for review, the need for moving forward. So originally this program was funded by the government partners who built this country settlement headquarters in Kololo, SS. And when the parent is paying all through, there are no known governance mechanisms that this parent holds to, this parent uses to hold those who are responsible and give a bearer the report about performance. When you attend parents' teachers meetings or school meetings, you discuss settlement. I doubt. But when you are paying fees, you make that payment. The big policy question in this one is whether, for example, the policy that everybody is fearing to talk about. Even Professor John Okuda, they, if he's a scientist, he's okay with having a section of teachers of science being paid several times and their counterparts, so teachers of science, are working. That has a ripple effect of a social imbalance that is going to create social misfits, because money in the pocket is not the same in the pocket which has no money. So in order to create a balance, this policy has to be discussed and has to be reversed. And I believe I let HU the president, or if I'm in a meeting where he is, I will stand and say both teachers of arts and science deserve equal pay at the right time so that the learner comes out holistic. The class will be harder than that. Yes. I'd like to show you that much as this money has been put to that level, it has not stopped teachers from nominating or teaching from one school to the other. They have got more, but they are looking for more. And HE, the president, should also know that as we move into the 4th, 5th year of this, a good number of teachers are going to ask for early retirement because the package is already given by law. So that is a policy distortion. Because when they request to leave early because their gratuity is guaranteed, we are going to face issues of brain drain, brain leakage, brain recycling, and we shall not have any brain drain because these people are going away, they are not coming back. They will go to the Middle East. They have that capital. So finally, before I leave this launch stage here, I'd like to give you some homework questions that you take home. And when you answer, I'll give you my phone call, my phone, with a phone number. We'll make a phone call and we'll do a marking day together. So you will mark yourself. You remember in those schools where the teacher would say, can you beat yourself? Or your friend beats you. So we are going to mark ourselves. So the first question is, as a country, we have a pool of scientists as teachers who we can count on with innovation. Do we have that data? Doctors from universities and this house, they will help us on that. Question 2. Has Sesamat as a program helped to change our learners into better scientists in this country? Question 3 is, do we have a record of 3, 5, 7 or 10 years data showing us innovations our students have given us in training institutions, but these students have invented an app, they have put up, they're innovating, they have created something, and we have that in stock. And the other question is, do we understand the difference between teachers of science and scientists? I'm bringing this so much because this book delves into policy and governance, and this is a policy that we need to discuss before it brings a lot of challenges in our medicine. Can we, the other question is, can we proudly present data from universities regarding how students are performing in STEM? STEM in science, technology, education, and mathematics. And we should also know that we are now moving from STEM to STEAM. Where STEAM is adding the A, which A is for the arts. You saw the grandson of Eliab performing here. Some of us may speak, but may not sing like he sang. So the arts are four: the literary, the visual, the creative, and
there is the fourth. So if we put those literary, creative, visual, and the other one I remember should be able to give us the transition from STEM to STEAM. But if we move from STEM to STEAM, are we ready for the challenges that we are having in terms of policy? 7, is it logical for a teacher who is qualified with a diploma in a science field to earn better than a head teacher who has a master's not in science, and this person is supervising the other? And you know that we have head teachers in our schools have PhDs. They are doctors as head teachers at primary schools. These are issues for pondering about, but when I look at your faces, the body language tells me that you have inhibiting some fear. I can read it. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gumusiriza, when I was given the title of your book, I said I will speak independently so that this country moves from where it is to another level. So once again, I want to emphasize that good policies are made by good people. And good people, I mean good politicians, who cannot be any better than the population that provided them to us. In conclusion, I implore you to read this book and to recommend it to teachers, parents, learners, and the non-teaching staff in all our education institutions. If this is done, the multiplier effect will create an understanding that all stakeholders have a role to play in policy formation or formulation and ensuring that good governance in our education system exists, being driven by the inner governance, and those are the innate practices that we extol as the upper leadership, management, and administration of education institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eliab, Gumusiriza, and your wife, I beg to end my remarks for God and my country.
You know, we have different talents. We had 300 men sing for us. Now we're having these guys show us skill by, beating the drums. Hasn't it been wonderful? Amen. And sometimes we think education is just about, passing exams and what, but it's also a very good form of education, right? And so I have been informed that performance was meant for you strictly. Our chief guest, Mr. Gumusiriza, that this has been made specifically for you. Thank you so much. And at this time, now that the special presentation has been done, I would like to take the honor of inviting our chief guest, our author, our dad, our educationist, the man of a lot of wisdom, which he could not keep in his head, but decided to pen in a book to make sure that it lives for generations and generations. Please, sir, we are privileged to be here to listen to you, and so take us away. Thank you so much.
Speeches are supposed to be short. But I will take this opportunity to say a few things regarding this function. First of all, I think you have heard, and you all know that I am called Eliab, Lenyon, Gumusiriza. This name Lenyon, this name Lenyon, I got it much later in my life. Actually, I was in HAC when we acted the book of Maccabees, and the name was there, and I was playing that role for that man. But he used to do a lot of laughing. And whenever my part came to talk, I would interrupt it by laughing. And my colleagues and students now called me Lenyon. And I said later, why don't I adopt this name and add it to my two names, Eliab, Lenyon, Gumusiriza. So that's how it comes about. I acted that play, Maccabees. Eh? I stand here? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have much time, and otherwise I can talk the whole day. Some of you know me. I will hold it myself. Yes. First of all, let me take this opportunity, because we started with a prayer to thank God for having made it possible to come all this way today. I thank God. Many times I thought it would not be possible. And now here we are. God is great. He has made it possible. Let me tell you, even members of my family don't know, even my wife. Some time back, the time came when I felt that the journey I had started was coming to an abrupt end the book will not be published. Why? Because I got a lot of financial challenges. After meeting the publisher and discussing with him and other members, that was my conclusion. But deep in my heart, I said, keep calm. Think about it. Don't worry as much as possible. I think that is what God was telling me. So for a month, I was not touching anything to do with the book. I had literally given up. So one Sunday, in the church, there was a preacher, Professor Suruma. I think some of you know him. He preached on that Sunday. And he told us some interesting stories, one of which was about himself, how he had fallen and got up, to manage to go through some of the challenges in his life. And he believed very strongly that it was God who made him go through. I was seated and listening very attentively. When he finished preaching and he sat down, a priest said, those who want to be prayed for, come forward. It was not in my habit to move forward in a church to be prayed for, because I used to pray, generally with others. But this time, I think it was God who was speak, which was telling me, Gumusiriza, get up, go there and be prayed for. Now, because of my gray hair, and I think at that time I had a stick, the priest talked and, blessed these others, and he told me, don't go. When he finished, he asked me to go forward, which I did. And he asked me, why do you want to be prayed for? And I said, I have a big challenge in my life. I have written a book. I stood there in front of the congregation, and I put up my hands, both of them. And I said, I have written a book, but when it reached the stage of being published, I could not raise money to pay to the publishers print the book. So therefore, I ask you, and I ask the congregation to join the priest and pray for me to get money to get my book printed and published. And the priest prayed, sat down. And I went home. I never told her. I never told anybody. They're hearing it for the first time. And I waited. One day, God spoke to me and said, Gumusiriza, this is the way. You get a pension. I said, yes. Can't you spend 3 months at least? 3 months without eating and drinking water. And we pay that money to the publisher so that he prints only 60 copies. Only. Kugutaha. Nyekwata. Aha. Maniri nkanga maniru kushumesum chirasi ntina kuntegal. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take a lot of your time. So that voice came, and I said, I'm going to sacrifice, which I did. And so my wife, at the end of the month, when our pension came small as it is, she did not receive any money from me. She kept quiet, and we struggled. I never told anybody, all these people you saw, I never told them. The first month went. The second month, except one person knew, and that is Brian Naheres. Brian is one of my grandsons who connected me to the publishers. He's the one who I told, and I was sending that money to him to keep for 3 months. And then I had informed the publisher, said, now, this money for 3 months, can't it produce 60 copies? He said, yes, it can. So I said, no, go ahead, and we publish the book. And we printed the book. And when we reached that stage, and we started making preparations in a very, very small way, I saw other people coming, members of the family, started coming and informing me that it was possible to mobilize some more resources to make the copies 100. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is how God made a breakthrough, this journey of mine, which I started way back in 1972, when I became a research assistant at Makerere University from a secondary school where I was teaching at Riviri. And I did some research. I started doing research in educational management. And then I went overseas to study for further studies at the University of London. And I did more research in educational management and planning in low-income countries. I gathered more information. Then I came down back, and I was appointed a lecturer at Makerere in the Faculty of Education. And I gathered more information, and I gathered more experience, and I gathered more confidence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, eventually, I moved from Makerere and became a headmaster in the field and forgot about academic things, including the book, which including research and those things. So, as God had planned, I moved very quickly after 1.5 years from Tigezi High School, where I was the headmaster, to Ontare School. We became terribly busy with the rehabilitation of the school. For 5 years, I didn't know anything now that was to do with writing, with reading. The guest of speaker was talking about reading. I had forgotten about it. So, but after five years, I go to the Ministry of Education, I was called, and I was told, Gumusiriza, move from Ontare, Chambogo, to start a new institution. And that was the Institute of Teacher Education in Chambogo. And government had appointed the late Professor Kajubi to become the principal, and had appointed the late Professor John Vigara to become his deputy. And they wanted somebody with a university teaching experience to join them and help in developing educational programs, particularly in teacher education. And that's how I moved to Chambogo. And mostly now I started on the journey seriously of writing the book. You have said, and you are right. And even the master of ceremony has said, and is right. Writing a book, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not discouraging you, is not the easiest thing in life. You need, he talked about, what word did he use? Diligence. Yes. I had struggled very hard. And at the end of my career in teaching at Chambogo, I had not finished. And I went to the top management, and top management members, some of the members of top management at Chambogo are here. Professor Puda, stand up so the people can see you, because you took that decision. It was very vital. Professor Puda, I've seen, he was the Vice Chancellor. The academic registrar, no, I think secretary, had moved from the, I think you had moved from the office of the academic registrar to the office of the secretary. Ms. Katsare Goret, and others who were in top management. There was another one, Mr. Asaf who? Adebua. These were in top management at Chambogo with others. They sat down and looked at my request to extend my retirement for a year at least. Give me 1 year. But the university had a policy that members of staff must, in the Department of Educational Management and Planning, that members of teaching staff themselves must endorse your application agreeing that you should get an extension of 1 year. It was not an easy task. Some of the members are here. Mr. Joseph, who else? From the department. Oh, there was Mkwenda had moved to Makerere, but he's there. Professor Mkwenda's up. These people sat down and scratched their head and said, what did we do to this old man? He's too old now to teach. What did we do with him? Some of them say, let him get this extra year. Others said no. But eventually, as God had it, when the matter reached the top management, Professor Puda and others said yes. I think Gumusiriza has served this university for quite a long time and has served diligently, as my daughter said. And they gave me that 1 year. But they gave me that 1 year to finish writing the book. Did I finish? Wapi. So when I went to the village for the whole year, I had forgotten about the book. And I think I said, no, I must pull up my socks. And I struggled on and on and on. The story is long. Those of you who have written, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are not written, I'm not discouraging you. I'm encouraging you to be persistent and work hard and publish and particularly those who are teaching in the universities. How can you become a professor if you have not published? I would have become one myself, but I didn't have a book that I had written. That's why I walked from Makerere, Chambogo, and I retired without this word PROF. So if you want to become professors, write books. I think Professor Mkwenda has written, I have read one of your books. So, to cut a long story short, ladies and gentlemen, we are here today. This day brings to an end the journey I told you I started in 1973. And I thank God. If it was not for God, I don't think me as a person would have managed to go to push to where we are today. But I want also to take this opportunity thank members of my family. Without the support, financial and moral support of members of my family, this day will not be possible. So I want my family, that is my wife and the children, and their children, and those who have husbands here, to stand up and come here quickly, please, because people don't have much time. Yes, my wife, my children, they are 5, and their children, and the husbands, if the husbands, I have seen Mr. Kadesu over here. Eh? Yes. Where is Anna? Yes. I want to see the team which made this book, the production of this book possible. Now, where are you? This is Patience. I will introduce you, don't worry. This is Anna. Yes. Yes. Woman is no. Filomena, right? Kasho polite. Polite, come. Yes. You know, sometimes I forget about these formal things. Now, ladies and gentlemen, very briefly and quickly, the first, this is, what is Mrs. Gumusiriza? Mrs. Gumusiriza is this one. You can see the hair and the mind. We have been in marriage for 56 years old. When I married her, we were very young people and very energetic. And I used to dance quite a lot, by the way. And I would make her dance the whole night. She would not sit down unless I sat. But jokes apart, ladies and gentlemen, that is Joan Muhasha, Karia Mudsha. Her husband is not here. Now, next is the Patience Gwetete. Lenyon is her husband. Who is Brian? And who is Brenda? I think I saw Brenda around. Barbara. Who is Barbara? So Barbara and Brian, this one, without him, we will not be talking, I can assure you. So this is Patience, she's a teacher. By the way, John is a teacher. My wife is a teacher. Now, Anna, Tomudsha, Karyesubra. Where is Mr. Karyesubra? He's here. Now, Anna is number 3. She's also a teacher. Their children, where are they? This singer. The singer is there. And Kambo. Kambo is an HSC at entire school. He wants to be an engineer. Just that one. Who else? Kesera, yes, this one. He's carrying books around. This one, in terms of if you have a job in a bank, the banks which need people who are very good at figures. If you want somebody who is very articulate, that one, you can recommend very strongly. Yes, so that is Anna. And this is Patricia Kentaro. If I had time, I would tell you why I called her Kentaro. But is Kentaro Shekanabo. Shekanabo is her husband. And Brian, who do you bring? Rando. Yes, Rando. Fenera. I don't think that the child belongs to Fenera, no. So this Fenera and Rando and Kim are children of Patricia and Shekanabo. And Kim is at school She's waiting to do her O-levels. This one is about to become a lawyer. She's a lawyer. She's doing her internship. This one is doing her internship, and let me tell you the name I gave her: Chief Justice. And so now, wait. This one is in the next 5 at entire school. Now, when I introduce John, no, let me finish. Let me finish. This one, who has been receiving you, is called Bwenje Emmanuel. And that one is not a teacher. By the way, Patricia trained as a teacher and finished school successfully, but he never taught even for 1 day in the school. Now, so Emmanuel Bwenje is our last boy, and he's an auditor. He works for himself. He's in this city, and those who have got very complicated things to do with the figures, and URA is on your back. Here is the answer. Now, when I introduce John, I will not introduce John. I think I've finished to you. But I did not introduce her children. There is a young man called Lenyon, and that one is doing her master's at Makerere in the Institute of Public Health. And this is his wife, this one. And his wife is the mother of this nice looking child. This is my great what? Grandchild. Can't you? Don't you see, when you see this gray hair, don't you agree that it deserves it? Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, without boring you, if I do not, Kessler, I did not introduce, did I? Yes. So this is the team which has made this book possible. In the last 3 months, they have done a lot of work. Financial mobilization, thinking, the power of positive thinking came from these people. And here we are this evening. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you very, very much. May God bless you abundantly. Sit down. Yes. Very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, why are we here? Now, here is the book. Can you get me? This book, I had many titles for this book. One title at one time was government intervention in education. Another time, it was governance of education. Another time, it was politics of education, and so on. But after the publisher had read the book thoroughly, he called me and we had extensive discussions, not once and not twice. I think about 4 times to agree on this title. So, here is the book. It is going to be launched. And ladies and gentlemen, may I take this opportunity of stating very briefly what the author attempts to do in this book. Now you have to read the whole of it, and you have to read it carefully. This is not a secondary school book. It is not a primary school book. It is not a book of pictures. No, it is different from those many others you have read, where you turn pages looking for pictures. Pictures are not there. It is only the ideas which are here. And me as an author, I'm attempting to answer the question, who governs education? And he dwelt, the guest of honor, speaker, dwelt very much on this subject. Who governs education? Or who should govern it? Who should control education? Is it the state? Is it the local authorities? Is it the parents? He made a reference about parents. Is it teachers? Is it the children themselves who are taught? Is it religious organizations which have very strong hands? So, in the case of Uganda, who governs education, or who should govern it? And to answer that question, I gave a historical background by examining the role of government in policy formulation during the colonial period up to independence vis-a-vis the religious organizations which had started education in Uganda and actually controlled it. And they were in charge. So if you want to see the relationship between the state and the religious organizations in education conflicting and pushing one another, one trying to say, no, I am in charge, and another one saying, no, you are not in charge. You have to look at this book carefully. But the colonial government made a decision of liberalism. They call it partnership and cooperation with religious organizations and set them free. Some of you did not study during the colonial period. I think Professor Puda did, and I've seen, yes, Misachi Yimba did, the chief librarian at Chambogo when I was there. You did also. That is Tim Karaza. Now, you see, the institutions, primary, secondary, teacher training colleges, vocational institutions, all belonged, 99% belonged to the religious organizations. And the government simply gave guidelines and financial support. Local authorities were brought in the picture, but they remained on the edge, because the policy of the government at that time gave a lot of authority, of monopoly, I should say, in education to the religious organizations. So if you want to understand that relationship, very delicate as it was, you will read chapter 1 of this book carefully. But when Uganda came closer and closer to independence, the question became increasingly clear. Who is going to be in charge, not only of education, but of many other services? And the government, once in power, the government of independent Uganda took a bold step, I call it a bold step, and passed a law. He made a reference about education laws. Passed a law in 1964, empowering the central government to take over schools and colleges completely. And the religious organizations, some local authorities, and so on, were up in arms. Very, very, very stiff resistance. But the government stuck to its guns and said, we are a government of an independent country. We must be in the driver's seat. Many of you are drivers, you came driving. You have been driving for a long time. Suppose somebody pushes you into the back seat, and you sit there and you have to watch somebody driving. That is what happened immediately after independence, when the government of Uganda made that bold decision to take over the reins of governing education. And there was very stiff response in form of resistance. And if you want to know the nature of that resistance and that response and the government's part to contain the situation but move on with the policy, you will read chapter 2 of this book. I mean chapter 3. But why did the government take over education? Surely there were people who have been in charge for a long time and they were doing a good job. So why bother? You want to know why? You should bother why the government took over this education? He made a reference about those things. That is where policy issues came into perspective. And you will find that in chapter 2. The factors that led or were responsible for government takeover of education in this country. But when the government took over, was it in words? He made a reference about that. Was it in words? Or was it effectively in action? You will read a number of measures which the government introduced in the system of education. Up to 1972, you will read those things in here. But as it happened, government, there was political turmoil in the country for a period of about 10 or so years. During that time, the issues of governance of education were in abeyance. The system of education went to sleep during that period. And now, in 1985, we get a new government. And the new government puts up their head and say, now, I think we must take the responsibility once again and show that we are in charge. You will see some of the things that they tried to do here. Now, more critically, because it is a journey of climbing up and going down. Now, in late 80s, 90s, 2008, the government, which was in power at that time, also took the mantle of controlling education vis-a-vis other players. And there were other players who were many. And the government did a number of things. And if you want to know what the government did in order to assert its influence in education vis-a-vis these other players, you will read the last chapter of this book. And I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, that the author was exhaustive. No. The book is not historical as such, because it focuses largely on some specific educational policies by government vis-a-vis the other players in the system. And so, briefly, that is what the author tried to do in this book. And he made a reference about lack of reading culture. I think many of you, I'm not discouraging you because I want you to buy the book and support me. You support me by buying this book. Really. You support me by buying this book. So I'm not discouraging. But when you buy it, go and read it. I know that many people don't have the heart. Don't have the heart. Sit down and read a book of this size when you don't have pictures. This is hard material. The university people, Joseph and your friends, this is the book. And we invite university lecturers, we invite secondary school teachers, we invite head teachers, we invite administrators in the Ministry of Education. He made a reference about this. We invite parents, we invite general public to be informed what happened in the system of education. Where are we today and where do we want to be tomorrow? In terms of control and influence. Policy is very critical. Why do I close with the year 2028? Why? 2020? 2008. Why do I close my survey, my exploration with that year? In that year, the government passed another law. The third one, the first one was in 1964, the second one was in 1970, the third one now, 2028. 2008. 3 laws which the government enacted to empower itself to be in the driver's seat in education. And the last one was in this year, 20, my mathematics was never particularly good, and it has worsened as time has gone on. So this is because the government passed another law in that year, empowering itself further and setting terms for other partners to play their roles. Religious organizations, local authorities, private proprietors, they are all there in education, but they must do it on terms set by the central government. And for the central government to reach this level like you probably climb Mount Everest and you reach the top, it was a long journey. A journey from 1964 to 2008. But, as I said, the colonial regime was not sleeping. They played their part. Now, in terms of policy formulation and policy implementation, these are the other players. So that is what the book really essentially is all about. And I invite you to read it and enjoy it. Don't rush. Because, as I said, you need to be patient to read it and analyze it and understand it. I'm not discouraging you, but I'm giving you some sense of direction in handling this book. Now, lastly, I want to take this opportunity to thank you. Now, you may wonder why I invited you. I invited many people, by the way. But the people invited are cross-section, quite a number in education, but a number of people also are invited are those who pass through my hands as a teacher at Makerere and at Chambogo and in secondary schools. There are colleagues I worked with in Makerere and Chambogo. There are many relatives here whom we have invited. And I thank you very, very much for accepting our invitation. May I therefore go like this. will the people whom we invited and our relatives, should I begin from there? No, relatives will come last. Friends, just friends, like, just friends, this man who came late. Where is he? He's a lawyer. Yeah, and you went to high school during my time. Stand up. You see the man wearing a tie and you think it is a joke? So there are people whom I invited in that category who came in touch with me in school. Would you please stand up for recognition? I cannot introduce everyone by name because we don't have much time. So those, for instance, those who went to, if you went to entire school during my time, if you went to High School during my time, if you went to the secondary school during my, hey, are you the only one? There is Bruce. Bruce the Explorer. Bruce the Explorer. Bruce the Explorer. Yes. And there is Dr. Mjeni. He's a doctor. He started in Frank Baraba. Where is he? Yes. So these went through my hands at entire school. They are men of integrity, you can see them. Sorry? Bruce is a dentist, he's a doctor, yes. Now, there are many other people whom I invited, they are relatives. Relatives of mine directly, relatives of my side of my wife. Could you please stand up for recognition? And you are many, even if you are, yes, that desk, this desk, yes, yes, and so I want, thank you very much indeed. I want to plead with you to forgive me about my phones. I phoned many of you many times, and I think you would tell your wife and say, this man really is giving us headache because he was our teacher. But I thank you very much. May God bless you, and thank you for coming. Now, before I come to the group of people I worked with, is there any other group category I've forgotten? Friends, relatives? My relatives. Hey, by the way, I have direct relatives here. Children of my brother's line. Christ, where is Christ? Yeah? He has gone? Is there another one? They have left. Now, what is the other category? No, left with. I will tell you why I have ended with that one. That category, friends. I have said friends there, I think they have. Now, these are people I worked with, either in Makerere or Chambok. And for many years, I shared a lot of things with you. We rubbed shoulders. We rubbed shoulders in thick and, we say thick and what? And thin. Yes. Christopher, how do you know about your relatives? Yes. Yes. So I would like to ask you to stand up. Professor Puda, you don't have to stand up. But others are still young men. Stand up, please, for recognition. This is now works with the new university as a chief planner. This was the chief librarian at Chambok University when I was there, and I used to bother him to get books to read. and we have remained friends. Is anybody there? Ms. Katsawe Goret, at one time was the academic registrar of the Institute of Teacher Education in Chambogo, and later she became the university secretary. These are the people who gave me responsibilities. He used to call me, she used to call me the diplomat. Gumusiriza the diplomat. If they had a very complicated case in management, they would call me and say, Gumusiriza, what do you think about this? And I would give them my views. And then sometimes they would help. This is
Dr. Rebecca Chirunda.
Yes. This is Rebecca Chirunda, my friends and colleagues in Chambogo. Yes, thank you very much. Oh, he's here. He's there. This is Dr. Chirunda. He has retired like me. Yes, thank you for coming. I had a very good time in Chambogo with you.
Thank you.
Yes. That is Dr. Mkwenda. No, Dr. Katigo. Dr. Katigo, in fact, is the one who succeeded me when I was retiring as a dean. This one succeeded me and became the dean of faculty of education. And he came from the Ministry of Education from the program of TDMS. Yes, and there are a lot of material in the book about TDMS. And he is Joseph Rosomio. Joseph Rosomio was teaching and still teaching in the Department of Management, Educational Management and Planning in the Faculty of Education. He was a senior member of staff. I would like him to become a professor by writing books and presenting papers in seminars.
Thank you for the blessing.
Dr. Mkwenda started here as young men like this, as teaching assistants. He's now a senior member of staff, teaching at McKinney in the Faculty of Education, Educational Planning and Management. And I'm very happy. There are things I did a lot with him in our programs. Anybody else? Professor, yes. Christopher?
Chemistry, so
yes. Because we were working in Makerere when I was teaching there. So he's a colleague, he was teaching he was working in the chemistry department. He did a good job, you did with this man from Mutunga. Yes, is he still alive?
yeah, he's still there.
Okay. He did a very good job there in the department of chemistry. Yes. And Mhurwe used to work in the department of Basa. He was, he used to ask for claims. I used to ask for claims. I would go to his office. He would look at me like this and turn around and said, okay, Gumusiriza, I will pass your claim. But jokes apart, thank you for coming. We had very good time together there. Yes. And did you stand among the relatives? I didn't see you. You did? Okay. Now, this one was introduced, and Professor Okuda talked about him. He was the Vice Chancellor during the time I retired, and I'm very, very grateful, extremely grateful. Many times I would go out to work with you in colleges, PTCs, especially colleges, institutions which wanted to be affiliated with Chambo. And we wanted to prove, for us we were quality minded. You talked about quality. If you want quality, go to Chambo in those years. Those years were extremely serious group of people. I'm not saying that those who are there are not serious. No, not at all. But no, we need to be very serious. We need to go out to check on those institutions which used to want to affiliate with us. And we would have yardstick. Have they met this? No. Oh, yes. And the work moved very smoothly. Did you have any problems? No. With your dear wife. I thank you very much. When you told me he was not well, and now I see him here with you, I know why he's able to get here. I know why he's able to get here. You have played a very, very big role in his life. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Yes. No, I think I should end here, ladies and gentlemen. Those who know me, when I start speaking, if you don't stop me, I will not stop. Yes? My wife? Hey, didn't I talk about her? Sure? Hey, no. When I said we have been in marriage for 56 years, okay. Mrs. Gumusiriza, Joy Massey, stand up again. Those people with the camera, you should take a picture here like this. Okay? I can assure you, without her, you know, we have a sheriff in the home. My sheriff is always in tatters because I don't keep books neatly there. And she comes and complains. But really, I come and organize these books. By the time I come back, you have thrown them all over the place. She has put up with me. She has supported me all these years. She has these children you have seen here and the grandchildren will not be where they are if she was not there. And now I'm 82 years of age. I'm coming to 82. In December will be. And I think recently she showed me something on the phone, which I don't use, this phone of yours. What do you call that system? WhatsApp. I think it is daughters who sent her the message. She has a system. I can't manage it myself. And I am older than her, naturally, of course.
I'm 77.
She's 77 years of age. I'm coming 22. You bring your music here, and you are young. I will show you that you don't know how to dance. Ladies and gentlemen, jokes apart, I think, once again, thank you very much indeed. I wish you good reading of the book. I would appreciate any comments. Obviously, nobody can tell you that you can write a book and it is ideal. No, there will be many gaps, and I'm sure they are there. So, but otherwise, I wish you very well. Enjoy reading the book. And there is another one coming in the offing. It is to do with the essentials of educational management. It is in advanced stages. And I will call you again. God willing. So pray for me to get money. Yes. So have a good stay. Enjoy yourself. I was asking my wife, I said, but there is water there. People are not drinking it. So you think that what is easy to drink? But this is what we can afford. I think there is something else coming. Don't give up and say, hey. You're not going to stop at taking just a bottle of water. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I should end here. Feel comfortable, feel at home. And let us keep in touch. Let us keep in touch. Yes. Let us keep in touch. Publisher, I did not thank you. I don't know what you think about me. Publisher, come here. Publisher, come here. Yes, we are going to launch now. I mean, I think there is a... I want to thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
I want to thank Mr. Kamshenda. He has tolerated me. He has put up with my phones, with my meetings, my bothering him. I think sometimes he spends sleepless nights because of our phones and so on and so forth. We thank you very much for the hard work you have done. I ask these people to clap for you to take us where we are tonight. May God bless you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, before Mr. Gumusiriza goes back to sit, we will do the very last thing, and that is the launching. And how we do it,
they ask halfway they
Okay. All right, we have Professor Opuda, who the chief guest thinks should say something, but that will come right after when we are catching our bite. But for now, let's arrange to the team at TFK, please to have the cake right here, and then we'll also conduct this exercise. I'll invite the keynote speaker to join us.
This is my first time to do this kind of thing.
So we have a pen.
Yes.
We shall unveil this picture. This is a book, the dummy. So Mr. Minister is going to append your signature here as a mark of the launch of today's book. Thereafter we shall move to the cake, cut it and share it with our friends and family. And that will mark the launch of our book today. The guest, the keynote.
Now, can I write a name or
whatever is comfortable for you, but much better if you can do the signature. Whatever you want, put here. Okay, whatever is comfortable for you. Yes. Round of applause.